here I am, still at the Hotel Arboretum in Northeast Washington, D.C., and that ambulance just dropped off somebody new who's now being brought into quarantine. Uh, that door you see there is where they go in, and then they go through a very brief orientation. They learn about the different rules and conditions and sign a little bit of paperwork. So when I came in on April 30th around 2 p.m., I received I shouldn't say received, but I signed a rules and conditions sheet. It had a bunch of check boxes on it. I had to check each box to make sure that or that I acknowledged having been told about that rule or condition, and then I had to sign it and give it back. I said, well, don't I get a copy to keep? And the guy said, I'll slide one under your door later on. Um, that didn't happen, at least not that day. And then on May 1st, I had somebody make a store run for me. Now, let me go back to April 30th. On April 30th, the man said to me by word of mouth that, hey, if you want anyone to bring you something from the store, only your case manager can go to the store for you, and they bring it here, and we'll have somebody bring it up to your room. And then I called my case manager to say, hey, I'm in quarantine, and I was told that it's your duty to make a store run for me if I need anything from the store. And the only case manager I have, by the way, is the person who's supposed to be connecting me to affordable housing. That's the only case manager I'm dealing with. I don't have a case manager for anything else. I said that on April 30th, by the way, and the guy said, okay, that's cool. That's who you need to work with. But on May 1st, after speaking to my case manager, who told me that it wasn't her job to do that for me, I called a friend, and the friend does something similar to case management, although I'm not sure that it fully qualifies. He helps people who are trying to get connected to jobs and job training. But that friend went to the store for me, and then he came to drop the stuff off. The DHS people downstairs at the hotel asked, where are your credentials? And he says, what do you mean credentials? I don't have anything to show you. They said, we'll take it this time, but you can't come back. Then he and I spoke and on the phone, and then I called downstairs and I said, what kind of credentials are you looking for? And they said, a work badge, something that proves where you work. And that would have made life a lot easier had they just simply said a work badge instead of credentials. But anyway, they allowed him to bring stuff that one time, May 1st, day after I arrived here, told him he couldn't come back. But then on May 3rd is when I received 2 copies for some reason. I think the guy just made a mistake. Thought he handed me 1 copy, but he handed me 2. So these 2 things are identical. Now, this is from Department of Human Services in D.C. government. You can see a little bit of what it says there. Down here at the bottom, it's got names and numbers for 2 people I can call if I have any issues. See if I can get it to focus a little bit better. Okay. That's about, okay. All right. Really hard to get this thing to focus. But anyway, um, at first I didn't even realize that these sheets are different. And then today I was looking for some information on, on one of these, on this sheet, for the information around the times that stuff can be delivered, and I couldn't find it. And I'm like, I know I'm not crazy. I know I saw something on there. So I went back to this other sheet, and I realized that they actually aren't the same. Okay, so this one here has 2 pages, but check this out. Let me see if I can focus it. Yeah, there we go. So that's page 1. And then over here, we have page 3. Somebody who works for DC government can't count. I'm not surprised. And the reason I say that is, well, first of all, I've dealt with DC government for 14 years, so nothing surprises me anymore. Here's another copy. I got 2 copies at the same time on May 3rd. And on this copy as well, it goes from page 1 to page 3. So either somebody couldn't count, or for some reason they realized that they didn't have page 2, but they were going to run with it anyway. So either it's stupidity or lack of diligence, but either way you go, it's not good. So I got these 2 copies on May 3rd, and let me open this up to page 3 so you can see a difference there. I got this copy slid under my door on May 5th. That's the number to the hotel. If you want to talk to somebody from the Department of Human Services, just call that hotel number. And then the area code, by the way, is 202. Anyone from DC would know that. But if you call the Hotel Arboretum, ask for Department of Human Services, they'll quickly switch you over to someone from Human Services. But this was slid under my door on May 5th. And this person knew how to count. They went from page 1 to page 2 to page 3. Okay, so now let's take this one where they couldn't count and put it next to the one where they could count. We have page 3 over here, and we have page 3 over here. And this was generated on April 30th, 2020, and this was generated on April 30th, 2020. But then when you look at what the page actually says, you've got rules 1 through 8, and then you've got a little bit of Q&A there. Let's see. Okay, how do I request clean towels and sheets? What if I decide to leave the hotel before my isolation days are complete, or before I get my COVID-19 test results? Where do I get a medical clearance letter? What are the designated drop-off times? And then you have them there. Now, on this sheet, you have these different questions, and it's focusing better too. All the same questions, but what you don't have This is the final question and the answer, of course. So so that they generated two different versions on the same day, and they forgot to put page 2 in a lot of them, and page 3 actually is different on these two versions, even though they were both generated on the exact same day. But since then, it's been determined that no homeless person in quarantine at a hotel in DC will be allowed to receive anything. I had my second and apparently final store run done on May 5th. What I didn't say is that the rules were changed after that paper was issued. Oh man, I keep forgetting things. Or the rules were changed on April 30th. Let me say that. April 30th. And those rules on this paper actually say that a friend, family member, or case manager can bring stuff to you. So even as I was being told only a case manager can bring stuff to you, the rules were being changed to where a friend, family member, or case manager can bring things to you. And so on May 5th, the same person was able to make a store run for me, even though he had been told on May 1st that he wouldn't be able to do it again. So he brought the stuff. But when it was brought up to me by a woman wearing a face shield and gloves, she said, "This will be it. You can't get anything else from the store. People have been taking advantage by getting alcohol." And I thought that was kind of ridiculous because the rule sheet actually says that for the most part, the basic hotel rules apply, and basic hotel rules do allow you to have alcohol. The rules actually even say, oh man, let me see if I can find it. Okay, right here. It's easier for me to read, not through the camera. It says, "Is my stay in the hotel like an ordinary hotel stay?" And the answer is yes, to a certain extent. Your meals are delivered by staff. Your medical needs are addressed via telephone, and indoor services as required. And you are provided laundry, cleaning service one time each week. So, yes, to a certain extent, your hotel stay is like an ordinary hotel stay. See elsewhere in the rules, on page 3, rule number 5, right there. See if I can focus. It says, "No drugs, use of alcohol highly discouraged." So it leads you to believe that alcohol is allowed, although it is highly discouraged. But now, as of May 5th, I was told that because people were getting alcohol, those in quarantine would not be allowed to get anything else. And so you keep the rules, and then they hold it against you. And that all just sounds really crazy to me. But it's also really crazy how, excuse me, the paperwork differs, even though it was generated on the same day. And I guess now people have to deal with the fact that once they come into quarantine, which for up to 2 weeks, they can't get anything brought to them from the outside, nor can they have transfer anything to anybody on the outside. So if they have documents on their person that they need to give to somebody on the outside, then they can't have the runners to grab it and bring it down. And so when you come into quarantine and you're homeless in DC, then you better have everything you need. You better make sure you buy your carton of cigarettes before you come in if you're a smoker. Uh, Whatever else you're going to need from the outside. You can get the free stuff such as 3 meals a day, but you can't have anything brought to you that's not already afforded to you by the hotel or by the Department of Human Services, and I think that's pretty sad. But as you can see, during my 2 store runs, I had stuff brought to me. I got the fridge down here. I got 5 remaining TV dinners. Those waters are the waters given freely with each meal, 3 times a day. I had a carton of cigarettes brought to me. I still have 1 beer left out of my 6-pack that I got on May 1st. I don't drink an awful lot. Today's the 8th, so in a week's time I only drank 5 beers. But anyway, that kind of lays out some of what's going on here at the hotel, and I hope that we can get the rule reversed around not being able to have anything brought to you, because it's very likely that a person coming into quarantine doesn't yet realize that they'll be closed off entirely from the outside world. I didn't even have the rules told to me until I arrived on site. So there will be people who arrive not realizing that they can't get anything brought to them, and then they'll be really disappointed, and then they might end up leaving quarantine prematurely, and if they do, then they will not receive a medical clearance, and they cannot get back into shelter if that's where they came from. All right, so there you have it.